So welcome back to the farm. In this video, I want to show you of everything that has been done so far. We've got the footings put in, the walls are up. Now it's time to put the drains in, put the drain pipes in the ground, lay the concrete, and start finishing up all the subfloor stuff. So that's where we're at. The crew is out here stripping the concrete forms off the walls. Unfortunately, I have no idea what happened to the footage of them pouring the walls. Apparently, this project has spanned several weeks to get to this point, and I've shot probably 6 hours worth of footage and trying to condense that all down into just a couple of videos that are only 10 to 20 minutes long each. Apparently, I'm not very good at that, so, practice, learning curves. I don't know what happened to the actual pouring of the walls, so I'm sorry about that, but I have some beautiful walls, and like I said, they're pulling off the forms right now. So how they did that is they actually screwed those forms to the footings and then braced them up with 2x4s, and they were able to fine-tune the 2x4s to get the forms actually vertical and straight. They did an awesome job at that, and there's multiple step downs to kind of follow the contour of the hillside, because again, we're in Missouri. Everything is built on a hill, and we own like zero flat land. Everything has some form of slope to it. So, and we're just restricted on where this shop is going. So this is what we have. Now, where they're working on the outside of the wall, underneath them is that little bit of gravel that you can see. That is covering up a drain tile. And what a drain tile is just a corrugated plastic pipe wrapped in a cloth. It works as a filter, and then clean rock is going to get backfilled into that void when they're all done. Purpose of that is to allow water to hit that basement wall and shoot down to that drain tile. Then it gets piped around the building and off into the timber. That's the plan. So now that the walls are done, now it's my turn to come back in here and start digging the trenches for the drain pipes and going back inside the shop and digging out the drain pipes and setting the actual drains themselves. So let's start digging the trenches for the drains. So my plan is I want my drain pipe to daylight outside of that fence line there on the right bottom side of the screen, and it's just going to roll down the hill. So 2 days ago I had to replace these lines. All I did was loosen this joint right here. But now it's leaking oil right here. Super frustrating. Guess I gotta break something every day, it seems like. All right, let's see if I can fix it. So the fix is a 30-cent O-ring from Napa along with an hour of drive time. So yay. So not a sponsor, but I do want to let you know I'm using the Jenkins backhoe. It's the 8-foot boom with the 18-inch bucket. It makes it for a decent trench. If this is the only tool you're gonna have to dig holes, this is a great combination. It just attaches to the skid steer, obviously. It means that I don't have to have a dedicated mini backhoe on the farm. It is a great alternative if you have a farm that is either no rocks or moderately rocky, because our ground is pretty rocky and it doesn't have a problem digging through all those rocks. It lets me put in waters as I need to, water lines. It's a good tool. There are probably better tools out there, i.e. getting a mini excavator and multiple size buckets, but they do have multiple size buckets for this, so I would like to try to buy a smaller bucket because this is an oversized trench for just doing 1-inch or 2-inch water lines. So we got the floor drains in place now. We have the 2x12 framed up for the concrete, and they've gotten the first couple of trucks in of poured concrete. They've started leveling, obviously, from the north side working south. Again, hello pump trucks, gotta love them. They got a great boom on them. Not the cheapest tool to have on the job site, but it's essential when you're working in these types of environments, doing these types of jobs. It's the only way you can actually get them in place. So they also have a lot of rebar in the ground, so you can see those little cross lines going back and forth. Those are the actual rebar. I should also mention that they also put down a layer of plastic underneath the concrete and on top of the gravel. That's just a vapor barrier to keep ground moisture from coming up into the concrete slab. You may also notice that there are multiple cement trucks on site right now. I have lost track of how many loads of cement it actually took to do this. I was absolutely amazed at how many loads of cement it took to do the footings, to do the walls, and to do this floor. This job is turned out to be so much bigger than I imagined. It's something that obviously I am not going to tackle this myself. So, James Webb, thank you. I am so glad that I was able to find you guys to come out and do this job for us. You guys did a great job. I'm so happy with how it turned out, but it was big. It takes a lot of guys because you have a finite amount of working time to do this, because you got to not only pour it, you got to level it, and you got to smooth it. There's a lot of things that have to happen in a very short amount of time as it's being laid, and then once it's laid, then you got to go back and smooth it all up. So as you can see, a lot of cement trucks coming and going. That pump truck was here for several hours. It took, I don't know, probably 3 hours to get it all poured. So it was a busy day. Now that the slab's poured, now it's the fun part of troweling it. The old days, you just have to go with a hand trowel. Now you got these cool little, they look like giant gas-powered fans that have giant blades on them. Those are automatic trowels, so that's what actually gives the floor a nice smooth finish. So it was very fun watching these guys do it, and the timing of it is very interesting because you can't do it when it's too wet because it'll just grab the concrete and fling it all over the place. But if you wait too long, then, well, concrete's cured and you can't level it. So it does take a very keen eye to know when it's time to actually trowel it and when you can do it by hand or when you have to do it with the power trowel, I guess. I don't even know what you'd call that tool, but it was fun. It's kind of a cool tool. And even with the power trowels, you still have to do hand troweling. You can see that guy in the yellow shirt. He's hand troweling a slope down to the floor drains. Floor drains are just covered up with duct tape at this point, and they're just sloping it down towards it. So as my skid steer sits there packed full of snow in the winter, it can thaw overnight and all that snow will turn to water and the water will just go down the drain. At least that's the plan. Well, the concrete's done, the plumbing is done, the gravel's mostly done. I guess now we're waiting for QSI to come in first week of July-ish, maybe, to erect the structure. So it's kind of hard to envision, but right now what we have is essentially 4 separate major spaces. Where you're standing, as far as the camera goes, that's the lean-to section. It's gonna have a sliding door on it, a 10 by 10 sliding door, and it's gonna probably right off the bat be used as hay storage. Future plans, we'll have a hay barn somewhere else on the property, and it's gonna probably get turned into a welding shop. But the back 20 feet, because it's a 60 by 60 concrete pad, so 20 feet, yeah, it's 20-foot lean-to, and we'll go back 40 feet, and that'll be the hay storage, maybe future welding shop. That back 20 by 20 is actually going to probably become a new dog room, because I like the idea of the dogs being able to be out here, climate-controlled room. The old horse lot that's just to the west of this building is now way too small for horses, but it's a pretty ideal size for dogs, and there's an automatic waterer out there. So why not? Why not dedicate a room out here for dog grooming, dog kennels, place for dogs to just hang out and live, and, you know, when we're out here, to be with us. I don't plan on them living out here 24/7, but as we come out here to work throughout the day, why not bring some of the dogs out here and they have their own space? Seems like a good idea, maybe. We'll see. So that's the section you're at. The section my truck's at, that is going to be a non-climate controlled room with the exception of an infrared heater throughout it, because we get hot summers and very cold winters here in Missouri. The purpose of that infrared heater is I want a place to where if the skid steer is packed full of snow and ice and the treads are all covered in snow and ice, I want to bring that machine into a warm space, i.e. 50 degrees warm, not 90. But I want to be able to park it in a warm space to where it can thaw, hence the floor drains. All that snow and ice can melt and it can just go right down the floor drain. That's the plan of this space. I'm also thinking that this will be a space that I could use for larger tools. I can work on the skid steer, I can work on the tractor in here. I can do some of the bigger prep work in this space. Because the true dream, my true desire is I want a woods shop that's 100% climate controlled. So it could be 100 degrees outside and I could be in there comfortably doing woodworking. Or it could be 10 degrees outside. And again, I could be comfortably doing woodworking. I really would like to get into high-end furniture. That's the dream. If I get there or not, we'll see. But that's the hope. So with that in mind, that back 16 feet, 16 by 60, that is going to be a completely climate-controlled space. I'm going to have a walk-through door, and then I'm also going to have an 8 by 8 garage door along that wall. So I can be in there, I can make stuff. If I build something that's a little too big to go through the walk door, I got a nice big door I can open up and shuttle completed projects out, and I can shuttle big material in if I need to. That back corner there, about 16 feet deep and about 10 feet wide, maybe another 16 feet wide. I'm not really sure on the dimensions yet. Still tweaking the final design. But that's going to be my utility closet. I'm going to move my head tank from the tiny, crappy little pit that it's in right now, because it's only got a 5-foot ceiling, and it's underground, and it sucks. I hate fixing it. I'm going to put it in there. So the head tank's going to go in there. All the electrical for it's going to be in there. The electrical for the whole shop is going to be in there. The air conditioner for the shop is going to be in there. And probably things like the air compressor, and I hope to someday get a dust collection system, and I want it in there because those are all louder pieces of equipment. I would like the idea of having a wall and a door separating me from them. And then since the center wall is going to be an 18-foot wall, that gives us space for 2 stories, right? So that 16-foot shop is going to also be a 2-story area. I plan on having an office upstairs for a couple purposes. One, I'd like a dedicated workspace that I can do office work in. I think it'd be nice to have a space for my wife to have a true dedicated office in. But I also like the idea of kids get out of school, we come home, they got a place in the shop that's going to have snacks and drinks, and we can have a couple of desks out there so they can just do their homework and hang out in the shop with me, but have a dedicated safe space far away from me and my wood power tools. And along with that, I also like the idea of, haven't quite figured out what I'm doing yet, but I like the idea of, I want a light switch in that office to where they turn that light switch on and red strobe lights throughout the whole building go off. And that is going to be their safe way to tell me, hey Dad, I have a question of God knows what, but I can be working a table saw and I can see that strobe light go off, and then I know, okay, turn the machine off and go see what the kids need. Versus the kids coming down while I'm working a table saw, and they're pulling on my shirt asking me whatever questions they have. So I hope to train them to utilize that. I hope to put it in, but we'll see. So that's the Dream Shop. This is where we're at. James Webb with American Concrete Foundations out of Sedalia. I think they did a phenomenal job of doing the concrete walls, the slab, working with me to get the drains in. I'm happy with them. I am happy with where we're at. The true question is going to be, is QSI going to be happy with them when they go to put the structure on top? I think they will. But that's kind of where we're at. Now it's just wait for the structure. So I got about a month until we're next on the list. So I'm Ben with MD Triple Creek. Welcome to my Dream Shop. See you soon.